Right. 7 February 2022. And today I've got a very quick and brief live. I'm going to be streaming for less than 10 minutes. I'm going to be looking at the developing story in the MDCT, which has literally split into two parts. And the reason why I say split into two parts is because Vice President Kupe was first suspended, and then she was recalled from Parliament. And then this week there are new developments in that Senator Kalipani Pugeni was also suspended and is likely to follow, is likely to be recalled from Senate if things continue the way that they are. I spoke to MDCT spokesman, Witness Dube, yesterday, and he told me that Senator Kalipani Pugeni has been suspended. And the reasons for this suspension, as I said in December, is that there are accusations that Dr. Tokozani Kupe and Kalipani Pugeni, they were holding secret discussions with Nelson Chamisa, the president of CCC, and these secret discussions arose from the dispute which Dr. Kupe has been speaking about since December. During the Congress, she said that that Congress was not valid, she did not lose, and Monzora was a thief of votes. So I want to quickly go into the real topic that I came here for today, which is the extreme move that Dr. Tokozani Kupe has made. She has gone to the extreme left of Nelson Chamisa, and she's now started to criticize President Mnangagwa, and directly, and also she has started to criticize ZANU-PF, a party which she was not criticizing when she was in position, when she was the president of the MDCT. You remember that Dr. Tokozani Kupe had said that she believes in mature politics of engagement, where she would engage with ZANU-PF so that things can happen in the country. But suddenly, she has become a more critic, a bigger critic of President Mnangagwa and his government than Nelson Chamisa himself. So this week, besides the suspension of Senator Kalipani Pugeni, she has also gone on to launch her new slogan. And you remember last week, we said that she reported President Mnangagwa, the executive of Zimbabwe, to the United Nations, and she also reported to the African Union. But what is interesting is her new slogan. I want to play you her new slogan, which she launched this week. Very, very interesting slogan, and you will hear it yourself just now.
Our slogan going forward is going to be #BeatThePost. Stop discrimination against women, because women can't breathe.
Right. So the key point that I want to make is that this is not a slogan to win an election. This is a slogan, a negative campaign. So she basically doesn't want to win. She just wants Monzora to lose. And she's basically calling out President Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF for supporting Monzora against her. And she's almost like a jilted girlfriend who is trying to spoil the relationship. You can see that the actions that she's taking are out of frustration and deep anger. She's very, very angry. And I see this, as I say now, as being the next move that she's going to make. She's probably going to be acting out of the same anger. She's probably going to go into a negotiation with the Nelson Chamisa CCC. I had a chat with Senator Kalipani Pugeni this afternoon, and I wanted to follow up on the question that Ezra Chisaswanda had with him this past weekend, where he was asking if Senator Pugeni would join CCC if he was invited to do so. You saw that Senator Pugeni did not say no. So I was saying to him, you did not say you're not going to join CCC. What is your correct position? And obviously, he said at the moment, he's not considering joining CCC. But you can see where this is going. The way this is going is Senator Kalipani Pugeni, Dr. Thokozani Kupe, and the people that are backing Dr. Thokozani Kupe, if they are chased out or thrown out, which has happened, if they're thrown out of the MDCT, they will eventually form a coalition with Nelson Chamisa. Chamisa does not have a proper Matabeleland, someone in Matabeleland who's got support. So Welshman Ngube is doing his own thing. He's not doing very well. He's very, very quiet. Unlike Dr. Thokozani Kupe, Dr. Thokozani Kupe actually does have grassroots support among the women. She will get votes, and enough votes to disrupt the plans of Nelson Chamisa and even of President Mnangagwa in Matabeleland, especially in Bulawayo. She does have a big following in Matabeleland South. She does have a big following there. She won a lot of votes in the areas around Gwanda. She had a lot of votes. If you check the votes that she got them from Matabeleland South and Bulawayo and the areas surrounding those areas. So I don't know how this can be managed. And I think it's unfortunate that Dr. Thokozani Kupe is now in this position where she's acting out of anger as she gets out of the political stage, because you can see clearly that there is no future for Dr. Thokozani Kupe. She cannot be president of Zimbabwe. She has done a lot. She became vice president of Zimbabwe, which is a very, very high position. And I think if I was here, I would find a way of getting out of politics in a way that will preserve her legacy. The way she's acting now, very, very confrontational towards everyone. She's acting in a very confrontational manner, unstrategic, and she's hurting the young guys around her. So if you look at people like Kalipani Pugeni, a very young, hardworking person, he's being affected because he wants to support her. And obviously, that support is getting him into trouble. It's damaging his political career. It's damaging his political future. Similarly, there are other people there. I think there's Mguni. She's suffering from her support of Dr. Thokozani Kupe. So Dr. Thokozani Kupe is going out, but she's going down like a captain with the boat. She wants to go down with everything. By the time she's gone, there will be nothing left of her supporters. They will be annihilated, either by ZANU-PF or they'll be annihilated by a combination of Douglas Monzora and Nelson Chamisa. No one of those two can trust her because of the way she's acting. Her unhappiness with Monzora has made her act in a way that for the whole year has been very, very disruptive. And I want to show you how deep her resentment for Monzora is. And I want to play for you one of the clips, the slogans that the women were singing there in Bulawayo. Right. So I'm just going to clip that. And so the point I'm trying to make here is the actions of Dr. Kupe as we speak right now, they are more motivated by her hatred and unhappiness with Ngonzora. She's got no particular strategy to say, after I leave this particular point and I've announced the split, what do I do next? You could see that she did not field any candidates. She's got no plan, but she's putting herself out there, and everything that she's doing is out of anger. And then on top of fighting Ngonzora, she's now started fighting ZANU-PF and President Mnangagwa. And I want to clarify one thing. The way I see this thing in Zimbabwean politics, the votes, they're not going to produce change. So change in Zimbabwe is not going to come through votes. Change is going to come through a negotiated settlement. So an agreement outside of the vote. Because I've always said this to people, Chamisa does not have national support. Chamisa cannot win a landslide. So if Chamisa was to win an election in Zimbabwe, you'll probably get 51% or 55%. ZANU-PF will still have probably a bigger parliament, and Chamisa will probably win the presidency. So there is no way that any of these parties which are there now can take over in Zimbabwe and be free of the other. The current situation that is there in the city of Johannesburg, very, very interesting. It's a hang, nothing is happening. Every day they're fighting each other. So if you really want change in Zimbabwe, the political parties that are opposing each other, they have to work together. And this is why every day you see me saying Chamisa himself, he cannot become part of the government of Zimbabwe without including ZANU-PF. Or ZANU-PF cannot work efficiently without Chamisa. The politicians in Zimbabwe have to compromise. So if you hear someone telling you that the vote is going to bring change in Zimbabwe or an election, they're just lying to you. The election is just an administrative 5-year process. But the actual change that you want to see in Zimbabwe is going to come from agreement between the various parties, which is why Pollard is extremely important. And going forward, Pollard is going to be the foundation of a successful Zimbabwe. And I think the people are not serious in government, and people are also not serious in the opposition about Pollard. Dialogue is the key right now as you speak. And the kind of approach that Dr. Kupe is taking now of insulting and making a negative campaign. And also, similarly, the approach that Chamisa is using, which is to campaign negatively, is going to worsen the situation, is not going to improve the situation for anybody. And the situation is going to remain the way it is for a very, very long time, until the politicians in Zimbabwe learn to sit together and talk. And this doesn't mean ZANU-PF and the opposition, but within themselves as the opposition, they need to be able to talk. They need to be able to work out issues. And the supporters, they need to understand, they need to be educated that nothing is going to happen. There's not going to be a day when Chamisa is going to suddenly wake up and become the president of Zimbabwe and change everything in the country. That won't happen. It has to be a united effort between ZANU-PF and MDC. So ZANU-PF is a very, very key part of Zimbabwe politics for a very, very long time. You're going to see ZANU-PF running things. Even if by any chance, let's say President Mnangagwa finishes his term in 2023 and a weak candidate comes and loses to Chamisa, Chamisa still has to work with ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is a very big part of the history of Zimbabwe and also of the future of Zimbabwe. So the way I'm looking at this, Dr. Kupe, she needs to change her approach, but also there needs to be a more serious effort to unite everybody, because what you are seeing is a sign of lack of unity in Zimbabwe. The politicians in Zimbabwe, they just cannot work together. And this is a very, very sad situation what we're witnessing in Zimbabwe. Right, I want to wrap this up, but before I wrap up, I want to apologize to, there is a company in the UK, or some twin sisters. They run a company called Grassroots. So what happened is one of our journalists wrote a story last week in which they said one of the sisters who's suffering from cancer has died, whereas she's terminally ill. So I'm very sorry about that. I saw that story was, it really generated a lot of unhappiness. So I'm sorry about that. It was unintentional, and obviously we've pulled down that story, and we don't want to lie. I know many people think that as journalists, we enjoy lying, but it's not true. These are mistakes that happen, like honest mistakes that happen. And I want to avoid such mistakes. Unfortunately, because of the budget that we're running under, sometimes we don't have enough resources to check everything, and we make this kind of mistakes. I then want to go to the comments, and I want to look at what people are saying. Right, Ryan is saying, "Hakuna slogan yakadaro gambakwe, ndokupererwa uko." Right, it's true. This slogan, Dr. Kupe, she needs to stop it. There's no slogan like this. A negative slogan. A slogan should be about what you want to do, not about what you don't want to happen. And I think that is where she's getting it wrong. Edgam, she's saying she only had 45,000 votes. These are the most important 45,000 votes because they stopped a runoff. If I'm not mistaken, Chamisa needed 31,000 votes to force a runoff. But he failed because Dr. Kupe stole the 45,000 votes from her. Remember what happened with Simba Makoni? Similar thing happened to Morgan Changrai. And as I say, the guys in the opposition should be very, very careful. Chamisa will not achieve anything if he does not work with other opposition figures, because those few votes that you're talking about, they can stop him from gaining or going into office. And as I said, the path to office, to State House, is not through the ballot. So if you want to vote to go to the State House in Zimbabwe, you can't do it through voting, because Chamisa does not have national support. And I want this to sink. Chamisa has support in the cities, but his support is not enough to beat ZANU-PF, especially after these divisions that have happened. So he needs to work with other people, including working with ZANU-PF. So the language has to change. The language of MDC and the supporters, the language needs to change. They need to start appreciating that Zimbabwe is almost a two-party country. And these two parties, they are all strong parties. So if you look at MDC or CCC, CCC has got a strong presidential candidate, but they don't have a strong parliamentary set of candidates. Tomorrow we'll probably have a chance to look at the candidates that they fielded. Chamisa's candidates are very weak. If you look at the people that they're fielding, take for example, people like Charlton Wende, Tendai Biti. Those guys are spent forces. They've been in office for years. There's nothing that you can get. There's nothing new that the people of, for example, Kwadzana can get from Charlton Wende. Or Tendai Biti, the people of Mount Pleasant, they won't get anything from him. He will be there, he will be sitting in that office, but he's not doing it for himself. He's no longer doing it for the electorate. So if you're talking of change, you're not getting change from the current crop of candidates that are coming from CCC or from MDCT. The only change that you can get is if you had a new political party that has a strong parliamentary presence. At the moment, that is not there. Chamisa does not have the strong parliamentary presence, which is why ZANU-PF is, I'm sure, a 2/3 majority or 3/4. I don't know. They've got quite a huge chunk, and I don't know how much they have now after these by-elections. So Chamisa is not a unanimously popular person in Zimbabwe. He is probably popular on Twitter, he's popular on Facebook, but when it comes to winning elections in the villages, he's not there yet, and it's going to get worse. That is why I'm saying the police need to work together. For things to stabilize in Zimbabwe, there needs to be a change in the way people view each other, in the way people approach politics. And as we are looking at Dr. Kupe now, because she got angry, she went extremely to the left and she started to attack President Mnangagwa. Whereas 2 years ago, she was probably fishing or feeding fish with him at his farm. So these are personal politics, the politics of an individual. And an individual says, if I'm not in it, no one else can be in it. And then they get out, they take a few of their supporters and they go on the left. Let's now block a few people. I want to block Josiam Chena. I want to block Tafrenyika Libat Garikai. These are the kind of people Chamisa doesn't need in his party. Let's go into some more comments. Let's go to Omega Dube. Says, I now understand that you really respect Nelson Chamisa. I think you even dream about him. I don't dream about Chamisa. Chamisa is going to be a loser in 2023. I want to say this to you, Omega. A vote does not happen on the day of the election. A vote is a strategy that you have to build up. Look at what ZANU-PF has been doing. They've been building their structures. They've been strengthening their constitution. They've been working on their strategies. I told you about the national housing policy. Look what they've been doing in agriculture. Look what they've been doing among the youths. ED for men, ED for women. What ZANU-PF is doing is building from the bottom. But what Chamisa is doing is building from the top. He wants to be a strong presidential candidate with a weak structure. That's why you don't have a constitution in CCC. You don't have a vice president. You don't have a secretary general. What you have is a bunch of people that were popular in the past, but they don't have structures. When they lose, don't be surprised. So, whereas I respect Chamisa for what he has done, he's been in politics for a long time. That's why you see me, I give time to Chamisa. I will write a lot of posts about Chamisa. You've never seen, how many times have you seen me writing a post about Kupe or Monzora or Garivume or let's take Nkosana Moyo. These guys, I only spend like a minuscule amount of time on them because in the election, they're inconsequential. They will come and on the day of the election, they'll be there. But they're not serious people. Nkosana Moyo right now is not a serious person. You won't see him until the election day. He's probably going to register to contest, but he's not a serious person. Chamisa, however, he's going to be in the election. He's going to be in the presidential election. And he's probably going to get more than 30% of the vote in 2023. But the supporters of Chamisa, they want to project this image that Chamisa is going to solve the problems in Zimbabwe. And I want to clarify that that's not possible. You cannot address the problems with the kind of structure that is got. And this is where I am. This is why I want you to understand. Valerie Binjo was saying, Chief Ndweni is talking about diaspora vote on ZimI. We talked about diaspora vote in 2018. We had a diaspora vote forum here in South Africa. Chief Ndweni is way late to the party. It's not going to happen. And if it happens, it's going to be useless. Let me tell you about the diaspora vote. Diaspora vote, you're voting for a constituency and you're voting for your presidential candidate. Do you really think there are enough people here in the diaspora who've got a passport, who've got a constituency, or who are not citizens in the country where they live, who can vote for Chamisa? So those are not the things that you're looking for. What you're looking for is to win among the people that you've got. You need to bring out the people that are in the very area where you live. So if you look at Bulawayo, I gave this example. I think Bulawayo has got 280,000 registered voters and only 180,000 voted. If Chamisa had spent all his time in Bulawayo, he was going to win the election. In Harare, I think there were 2 million or so registered voters, or 1 million around there. Only 800,000 voted. So out of the 2 million or so, 800,000 voted. Let's say 60%. If you spend all your time just mobilizing the people that are your members to vote, you win. The problem that we have is these guys don't come out to vote. They spend all their time doing slogans, but they actually don't go out and vote. So the diaspora vote is not the problem. The diaspora vote is a small part of it. Let's go to a few last. Well done, Rufu. So Gambakwe, ZANU-PF is new people, Naika. Yes, ZANU-PF just did their DCC elections. They've got a bunch of new people. They've got structures. And an MDC person won't understand this. ZANU-PF is a proper political party. It's got membership cards. It's got grassroots structures at ward level. If you go to any ward now and ask them who is the ZANU-PF member here, who is the ZANU-PF chairman in this ward, in this province, in this district, they've got people. Go now and say who is the CCC district chairman for Chikomba or for whatever. Find a place for Bulawayo, for Nkulumane. Who is the DCC, who is the provincial, the ward chairman for Nkulumane? They don't have. They've got Kukata Pulu in Nkulumane right now, who's contesting. He's from PDP. So how does that make sense that a guy from PDP is contesting as your member of parliament for CCC? Where are your structures? So the people who are voting for MDC or CCC, they're not members. They're people who vote, they're voters, but they don't participate in your processes. What is going to happen is that when you win that election, you don't have engagement with the people in that constituency. You are an elected representative, but you've got nothing to do with the people. And the people will never have any benefit from your position. That's why you see that MDC and CCC representatives, they've been very, very inefficient. They've not managed to do anything for the people. Look at the situation in Bulawayo, the most corrupt city. Right now, as you speak, the most corrupt city in Zimbabwe is Bulawayo. They've destroyed it. Before when ZANU-PF and MDC were balanced in that council, that was the most war-run council in Zimbabwe. When Malinga was the mayor of Bulawayo, that place was a beauty. It was well managed. It was running very, very well. But once MDC took over by themselves, they relaxed. They became corrupt. Right now, the people in Bulawayo are drinking sewage water, and they still keep voting for MDC and CCC. The same people that is making them drink sewage water. So you're drinking sewage water, but you vote for the same people. That is because I don't know what is the mindset of the people there. Why are you voting for such people? It's actually I feel ashamed to be called someone who comes from Bulawayo, such a corrupt city. And these are the problems that we have. The voting, the people who vote, and the people who don't vote. These are the reasons why they don't vote. They just look at what is happening and see that this is the West. You imagine Dr. Kupe, how long she's been in politics. If she was to contest an election, what new thing would she give to the people of Bulawayo? Right now, she's an MP, a member of parliament, through proportional representation. Someone was recalled for her to be in office. What has she achieved ever since she was represented, elected, or appointed? What has she done for women since she was appointed? You see, these are the kind of issues that the CCC is confronted with. They cannot bring change. They can talk about change, but they cannot bring change. Then I want to wrap this up, and I'm seeing that numerous Mashava saying Rudakuroa. If you think you can beat up Gambakwe, right, that is a very bad mistake, because we don't fight with fists. I can destroy you without even lifting a hand. That is something that you need to know. I want to go to Fano Patsun. Says Gambakwe uri against Chamisa Iwe. I'm not, and I don't have to be. Chamisa is against himself, and I'm trying to help him. Let's go to the last one. Gambakwe can answer this. Is there any democratic space in Zimbabwe Did you see what happened in Guero on Saturday? Police came carrying AK-47s to stop the yellow fever. CCC painting yellow. These are minor things. These are village and local things. If you see a car, one car being stopped by police, no one was arrested, no one was beaten. These are normal things. We don't know the circumstances that made the police stop these people. There was another demonstration in Bulawayo against Chamisa. So there's a lot of things happening. Demonstrations happen everywhere. But I don't operate at that level. I am operating here at a strategic level. If you want Chamisa to win elections, stop becoming victims. Because right now, Chamisa is all about being a victim. If you look at his supporters, his biggest supporters, they always want to point at how much Chamisa is a victim, how much he's being stopped from doing things, how much the playing field is not level. If you are a winner, you win despite the odds. You don't wait for the situation to be normal. And at the moment, Chamisa is not doing enough. Ostalos went to Bulawayo. He said he's going to get 5 people registered every day. And I showed you that my brothers in Zelendeville went around. And only 2 people registered in the whole city, in the whole day that he was around. So the issues that we're talking about here are not at this level. If you want to win in Zimbabwe, firstly, you have to do something different and you have to do it big. And at the moment, they're not doing big enough. The reason why Chamisa is always complaining and his people is because they know that they haven't done enough. They know that they've not convinced enough people. You need to convince the majority of the people that you are the change that they're waiting for. And at the moment, this is not the change that people are waiting for. People are not waiting for Chamisa to win. Then what? Show us in Bulawayo now. Stop people drinking sewage. Stop the corruption in Bulawayo. And then you will see what will happen. I don't even want to talk about Harare. Harare City Council, Chitungwiza City Council. You can manage the biggest city in the country. You're going to be giving excuses every day. You can manage Chitungwiza to make it a proper city. You can manage Bulawayo and people drink sewage with corruption. I do not understand how these guys can run a country if they are in this, when they have this approach. So first of all, the politics must change, the strategy must change. Before you even talk about what happened to Chamisa is being stopped and so forth. So I think this is a sad situation, but we'll be back here in 2023 and we'll be analyzing why Chamisa lost the elections in 2023, because he's not doing the basics. He's not saving the people. And if you look at people like Dr. ZANU-PF, the time that they spend, 99% of the time is on factional battles, fighting for positions in a party, destroying someone else. I want this guy not to get in. So you saw the slogan, don't vote for Ngonzora, don't vote for ZANU-PF. What is that slogan? What does that have to do with a person on the streets? This is the problem that we have in Zimbabwe, that the politics of the opposition has got nothing to do with the local people. We are even talking here about the sanction issue. Dr. Kupe was writing to United Nations, to AU, and saying that the executive is stifling women in the country. So our opposition politicians always go back to calling for sanctions and saying that the playing field is not even, when the facts speak for themselves. On the ground, nothing's happening as far as the opposition is concerned. Right, let's look at Peter. Peter is saying, I'm angry, Chamisa. Why? You're a bitter man. But why? Okay, first and foremost, I'm not bitter, but I am angry at Chamisa. I'm angry at the whole opposition. They're a waste of time. Plus, they like to hide behind the finger. If you want to see that the Chamisa and his party and the other opposition guys, they're a problem. Take a guy like Khupe who is supporting Chamisa or Simbachikaza. Let him criticize them for one day. and see what happens. They would turn around him and they'll be insulted like daily. You see, the thing about me is I don't care. I don't benefit anything from Chamisa. I will never go to Chamisa for anything, or for money. When, in fact, for anything, let's clarify. I'll never go to Chamisa or to any politician. I've never approached a politician for money. I've never approached a politician for anything. And I don't want to be supported by anyone. So I don't want the support of Chamisa's fans. So you see me, I do my thing. When I do what I'm doing now, I'm going to do it, and I don't lose sleep. However, one thing that I want to mention is the way that the MDC Alliance and the CCC treat the media. And that one, I take great exception. When I was here in Johannesburg, and we went to cover one of their functions here in Pretoria. After being invited, I did not even wake up to talk about it. They called me on my phone to say, come and cover our function. And when I got there and they blocked me, you all saw it. You block a journalist or a media house from covering a function. And it is publicized. That video has got over 500,000 views. And Chamisa, Mahere, and their people, they are happy, they're quiet in their office that a journalist was blocked from covering a function. What kind of an evil system is that? So this is one thing. I do not have respect for the way that Nelson Chamisa and his political party handle the media. These guys, when they get into office, they will become the biggest problem because they do not believe that they do wrong. They do not believe that they have to account. So every time they must be praised. And similarly, this is why we have the situation in Bulawayo, a city that was doing so well, where people are now drinking sewage. And I'm going to keep mentioning this. The Bulawayo City Council under CCC and MDC has become a disgrace to the whole of Zimbabwe. I think Mtare City Council is probably now the best run city council. And I hope that things can change, because all this, it's a waste of time. What is happening? Voting for these guys in the opposition is a waste of time. I wish people could punish them during these by-elections and show them that their votes are not to be taken for granted. Because this is where we are. We've got an opposition here which is not awake to the issues. They're so lazy. And that laziness, it makes me very, very unhappy. And then I want to end now, and we'll be back tomorrow. I haven't managed to talk to Dr. Fedias Mteneri, but I want us to look at the candidates. What are the candidates that have been put forward? Let's focus on CCC and my disappointment with some of the candidates that they've put out there. And then maybe during the week, I'll look at the candidates that have been put forward by ZANU-PF. I'll also look at the other smaller political parties. And we want to look at the future of politics in Zimbabwe. Is it a serious, do we have serious politicians in the opposition? And let's look at that. Right. I think I've talked enough, and you know I like to talk. And I hope to get Senator Kalipani Pugen soon. He's been gagged, or he's been stopped from talking to any media house by the guys there. He's been suspended. So the difficulty that Senator Kalipani Pugen finds himself in is that he's suspended. And if he breaks the suspension, the rules of the suspension, he's going to get recalled. And I don't think he wants to get recalled. That's sad. But I think I'll have to challenge Senator Munzora and say that's probably not a very democratic thing to do. So I want to give him a call, and we'll find out why this has happened, why these guys have been suspended, and why they been taken for disciplinary and so forth. I think this is important for the rules to be followed. If these guys are to be recalled, then they must be recalled. But then a due process must take its course. It's sad, though, what's happening in the opposition. not very, very cool, I must say. Right, thank you very much for watching, and good evening to everybody. I know I've been ranting and raving for 40 minutes. And so that's it for today.
Uyo uko kuno aho bano mama wanna get it nice. I know food I meso, I know food I tebe, I know kaya marigi. Kama kwetu tikom, kwetu tikom upuza zaire. Kama kwe anogaya mari,
kamba kwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa paninyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com. kamba kwe vanogaya mari vanotaura mari vanoziya mari kamba kwe vanotaura feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei vanomutererei zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei mirai ndikudzei kuti chokwadi pano chizere kamba kwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotaura straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence
entertainment current affairs and news. Kamba kwe.com usasarire kamba kwe